Hello and welcome once again to the Monster Sci-Fi Show. I am your host, The Monster, back once more to give you some sci-fi news for this week. Well, as you can see or hear from my voice, I'm still alive. Erica did absolutely nothing to us, except make it miserable to go to work on Monday, because we're all counting that it would just ruin our Mondays. Instead, it still ruined our Mondays by making us go into work, but that's not the case anymore. Still, this is now the second week that my kids are back to school, which is kind of a good thing, and things are getting better, which I'm grateful for. One of the new things that I've been starting to do, not that I haven't been running, but I've been running really early, after I drop off my daughter in school and get to work. I have about an hour before I start work, and then that's when I do my running, which has helped me tremendously not to deal with the heat index that goes over 100 many times during my lunch. So it was a nice break to not feel like I'm going to pass out and die somewhere along that beach. But having to be new situation with this running, I get to forget things. And today I forgot to bring in my regular shoes, my regular running, regular sneakers with me. So I'm actually wearing my jogging shoes. So they're kind of like a bit moist, which I don't like, but I have no options. And the other time was I forgot some undergarment that was very not enjoyable for the entire day. So I'm really getting bad with my memory. Really, really bad. And in fact, it's been now, I think, almost 4 weeks actually, since I've misplaced my iPad, and I cannot find it. And I'm really stupid and dumb. So with that, I'll just leave it at that. But so let's move on. So today, being Friday, and of course you're listening to this on Saturday, is Force Friday, or Star Wars Force Friday. So all the new toys that came out for the new Star Wars movie is today. So unfortunately, one, I had to work, like my co-host Mr. Gene, who got up extra early to go to the Disney store this morning, and he bought 3 die-cast figures from the Disney store, which I'm going to post a picture on that. But you know, they're really cool, and I would have picked those exact same 3 characters myself if I had the money. But I will talk about some of the things that I found online that I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I actually would love that. Again, with the caveat, if I had money. So let's start with this for this week. The one thing that I want to talk about is for Arrow. The character is Diggle, John Diggle, who is once the bodyguard for Oliver Queen, is now getting kind of his own costume. Okay, so I'm looking at the costume, and he's wearing black, and he's wearing the leather. He's wearing a helmet that covers up most of his face, so I'm not sure if he's trying to be Magneto-ish, some kind of Roman centurion, but that's exactly what it looks like. That kind of helmet, but just in black. I mean, sure, it looks interesting, but I don't know how much this really works with his costume. Unless there's going to be some kind of, I don't know, some devices or some shields or visors. I don't know. It just seems awkward. Considering that, you know, he's a weapons guy, he fires guns, I would think that this would limit his peripheral view of the action. So it kind of limits his action or his viewpoint of trying to fight the bad guy. So I don't see how this would work in that kind of situation. But again, this is just released, so we'll see what happens, but we'll leave it at that. But I'm just not really... I'm not really there. I'm just not wowed by it. Hence, if he was going to be the new Green Lantern and people have done Photoshop pictures of him as the Green Lantern with the mask, yeah, I buy it. I want that. I so would want him to be the Green Lantern. But seeing this helmet, I'm just not wowed by it. But nonetheless, we'll just go with that. All right. So the next thing that I want to talk about, in which I actually wanted to talk about on a later podcast, perhaps maybe from page 49, is the issue with James Bond. The rumor is going around once more that this may be the last movie for Daniel Craig to be James Bond, which my co-host Mr. J and I were talking about yesterday. I'm like, I would be okay if Spectre was the last movie for Daniel Craig. Having said that, I hated the first two movies that he was in, Casino Royale and The Quantum of Solace. To me, the best one that he did to date was Skyfall. And of course, it did $1 billion in the box office, so it's a credit to him because he stuck through, but he became the Bond that I wanted to see for the longest time since the movie that I saw called Layer Cake. Layer Cake was like, that was amazing. That's what Bond should have been in the first two movies, in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. But it was just so... It was less than what I thought it would be with those two movies. But Skyfall, there was humor, there was action, there was Bond again. So it was his Bond, and I'm good with that. And there's no way he's going to be able to top the success of Skyfall with Spectre. But, you leave on a high, not lesser than high note, but that's fine. I'm good for him to go. So, about a year ago, we had the commentary from Rush Limbaugh about James Bond is white, and he should not be played by any other character or an actor that's not white, namely Idris Elba. So we're back to this again. So the news came out, the current James Bond author, which his name is Anthony Horowitz, talked about saying that Idris was too street to play James Bond. But Patton Oswalt, I give him credit for coming with this response, which I think it was really kind of clever. I'm going to read this real quick. So he said, the whole tension inside of James Bond is that this is suave British guy that in reality is just a street-level ass kicker. That's why Sean Connery is amazing. He's this working-class Scottish weightlifter dude, then put him in a tux, he looks great. It is why Roger Moore wasn't good, because he was too suave, there was no ass-kicking to him. And it's why Timothy Dalton, who is a terrific actor, but who is also ass-kicking, but he was all ass-kicking. Like, you couldn't believe him in a tuxedo. He looked too good to be a thug no matter what you did to him. So Idris is a perfect James Bond. Not because he's black or white or hot, it's because he looks like a suave, high-class 1% dude, but he's also but he's also all this killer training. Yeah, sorry about that. Which, that makes sense. You want to have that lethal kind of combination of that's the most dangerous man in the room. That's the one you don't want to mess with. But he is not the obvious choice. And that's where you're going to make that great connection to Bond. I can easily see Idris playing that. And again, like with Green Lantern not being necessarily a white actor, you can do this for James Bond. I would love to see this, and again, I'm going not to explain too much or go into details, but Stan Lee had talked about this, and Michelle Rodriguez had talked about this on the opposite side about having our own characters or minority characters or characters who are of the opposite gender be done in a different way by different creators. So leave the way things are as opposed to enhancing or changing side, like Thor is now a woman, and you have different characters. Captain America, who died, is taken over by the Falcon, who is a black superhero. So it's not an issue for me. I just think there's a bigger discussion about issues like that and how we need to kind of accept things need to change. Things need to evolve. There's nothing wrong with changing a character to reflect the times. So kind of like Superman, through all the different decades, he has changed throughout the time. So some that will like him in his red underwear, and then some that don't. There's some that may like his super sun flare power, and some don't. It's just a matter of what are we going to do to make this character still relevant today. And yes, we want to have original characters that are out there, but trying to break into that is almost next to impossible. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So, because again, it's something that I would really get into a good discussion about, and I would love to have your input in that matter. So, all right. So, like I said, today is Star Wars Force Friday. So I'm going to start off with my Obsessed with Star Wars 2500 question game, and I'm just going to just pick one at random and see how smart I am to prove to you that I am a Star Wars fan. So let's try this. This is 1485. So go to page 1485. Okay, we're almost there. All right. So the question is, what does the sign above the entrance to Chalmun's Cantina say in BASIC? A, no droids. B, watch your step. C, watch your head or heads. And D, cash only. So I am going to go with A, no droids. Let's see if I'm correct. What? C, watch your heads. Screw that. All right, I'm moving on. I'm going to get my lightsaber out. So, as you can hear, that is the sound of my lightsaber. This is a lightsaber that I got as a present from the library that I used to work with. It was brand new, and I was really upset that I was being transferred. So they got me a lightsaber, and it was such a cool lightsaber. I still have it in the box and everything, and it's a special shout out to Diane, who I know told everyone else to pitch in to buy this for me, because I knew that she owns it, and she knew I loved it, so she got it from me. So thank you, Diane. All right. So being that today is Star Wars Force Friday, one of the things that I saw pop up early, and this is going to be like the new Groot, the baby Groot toy that came out last year that everyone's going to be wanting to have, is the BB-8 droid, which is the round droid that has his head basically magnetically attached, but it can roll endlessly, and it's amazing. So that is something that I would love to have, but again, I'm not going to pay money, at least not right yet, because like with Phantom Menace, all these cool toys came out, and then like, wow, movie really sucked, and then all the toys were like lying around, and then that's when you go in and buy it all. So that's the invisible hand theory that I keep throwing in every once in a while. But honestly, I'm done with collecting. I don't have room. I want it, but I don't have room. The other one that I love, it was really, really, really cool, was the Millennium Falcon drone. So basically, it's a drone ship, just shaped like the Millennium Falcon, and it had 4 blades right in the middle, so it can hover, and it has working lights, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so, so cool. Now, having said that, my thing was that, because my mom had gotten a drone for my son and I to play with over Christmas last year. And the problem was that as much as I was wanting to do this, it took a long time to charge, and it had a camera, and once we were ready to take it outside, we had like 5 minutes of flying time. So we had 5 minutes of fun that we waited almost a day just to have that 5 minutes of fun. So we got to fly it up, and it crashed. We flew up and it crashed. So it did this a couple of times, and the leg is broken, and now we have no more 5 minutes of fun. So I'm wondering if the construction of this Millennium Falcon is a little bit more than just styrofoam. Just because novice people like me or my kids are going to like crash it into everything. And that's to be expected, but to be priced over $100, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. I love my kids, and I'll get them a kite or something that's cheaper. If it breaks, oh well. But $100 to have that kind of fun, and then boom, it's gone. No, I can't do that. I just can't. I can't. So the other thing, aside from just a side note, we're doing in about I think sometime early or mid next month is Teen Read Week for the library. Now, for our library system, it's a Star Wars theme, so of course I brought up my lightsaber and I'm working on displays. But I also have I have to build this paper R2-D2 with this kind of sound effects chip. So that's what I'm playing. And it really sounds great. I just wish, I can really put it up right now or figure out how to do this properly. But so it's kind of cool. I'm really kind of getting stoked about all the Star Wars toys that are out there. And today is the Death Star Aftermath, which is a new book for Star Wars. The one that I've been reading, which I'm blanking out on, is it's after Clone Wars, in which basically, if anyone has watched Clone Wars, Ventress was basically ordered to be eliminated from Palpatine to Count Dooku, and Dooku could never get her eliminated. So sorry if I spoiled that for you. But what's great about that is that Ventress is still out there, and Ventress is sort of kind of like a good guy, like person or gal. She's a girl. Yeah, she's a girl. She's got boobies. I like saying boobies because it's my show. All right. So the book is dealing with her going after Count Dooku because I just read the very beginning, not too much. It's like literally just the first chapter, but basically the war is going poorly, and they figured that the way to end the war is like to cut off the head of the snake, basically. So Obi-Wan says, hey, I have a person in mind that would be perfect for this job. So that's where this book then takes off. So it's, again, getting all this fun Star Wars stuff is like Christmas all over again. Now, my friend Mr. Gene had went to the Disney store this morning, which again, you're listening to this on Saturday, but he purchased 3 of those Disney figures, and they're amazing. They were like $24, $24.95 each. But again, I don't want to do this again. I love Star Wars to death. I will get maybe a shirt or maybe another mug or buy another book, but I can't go through this again with the merchandise, considering and how Phantom Menace really screwed up. And then merchandise after that was becoming less and less and less. Now, not saying that this is going to be a terrible movie. I have high expectation. I think we're going to have this, as Gene put it, this kind of nostalgia or this retro feel of having our past come to our present. And I really want to embrace all that. I want to be in love again with that universe that I was watching for the very first time at the age of 10, in which literally that felt like there was nothing before the age of 10 that is as vivid and as beautiful as I can remember any other movie. I mean, when Star Wars came out, I just would lean in my seat. I would not want to see Close Encounters of the Third Kind, even though it just came out. I was like, no, I want to see Star Wars again, because we didn't have VCRs or DVDs. There was no TV rights to that yet because it just came out, and God forbid if we ever get to see Star Wars on TV, that would be awesome. But there was no way we were going to see it, so that's the only way we got to watch Star Wars was in the theaters. And I still got my original program after the movies, which they were selling, and I have it all wrapped up and almost in mint condition. So I'm definitely going to be playing my Star Wars CDs in the coming weeks. With my commute still being over an hour long. So I'm going to be enjoying those times and those moments. And I really want to have a great time once more in watching Star Wars become not only part of my life again, but also becoming a moment in my kid's life too. So I'm hoping that all really kind of come together in a beautiful and great way. So, all right. So on that note, I'm just going to say thank you very much for listening to the Monster Sci-Fi Show. If you want to contact me, please email me at the Monster Sci-Fi Show, not the Monster Sci-Fi Show, just Monster Sci-Fi Show at gmail.com. You can also send me something on Twitter, which is the Monster Sci-Fi Show, but with the SYFY handle. And of course, find it on the Facebook page too. I'm always there too, so please, I would love to hear from you guys. Alright, so again, thank you very much for listening to the Monster Sci-Fi Show. Remember, I'm trying to remember the Monster Sci-Fi Show. Oh man, sci-fi from a certain point of view. You said it, R2. I suck. Bye.